Yeah, Prof here with a sleepy cartoon. I just woke up. Yeah, so sleepy. I had to turn on the lights and talk. Yeah. Just finished up the other night. The video on finally getting my head, or my hands, not my head, my hands on these chain nose, long reach mini pliers from Pro America Tools, and then them also coming out with the thin head diagonal cutters. They're not flush, but they are pretty darn close in the size of them. They've thinned out every part, even the handles. So just finished up a video on those. I'll just move them over to this side of the table for now. As you can see, there's only 4 of them, 2 of each, because I've rearranged my PC. This is like my quick PC building kit. Got my Bernalian titanium for those that watch EDC content. Now, I'm definitely seeing with this why with the new nip extend from Nipex, you can change the colors on the ends of the handle. Because in a situation like this, unlike in my toolbox where I have them flipped around and I can see the jaws, so I know what type, in this case, and I'm probably going to steal the idea, is like these, for example, are the cutters. They're probably the most likely I'm going to use. I'm going to go make those yellow. And then change around and just put little dabs of color right on the ends of each of the handles, just so that when looking, because realistically when looking here, the only one that you can kind of tell is any different is the slim head diagonal cutter here, because the handles are actually physically smaller. These two, which is the normal diagonal cutter and that snub chain nose one with serrated jaw, that holding these two in the hand between the normal diagonal cutter and that one, it's exactly the same. The grips feel very, very, very similar. So I definitely got to do something from this end to tell them apart. And then now it makes sense. The Nipex thing, where you can actually like snap different parts in the end. If you watch some of my Nip Extend new pliers videos, I generally just put a yellow one and a lanyard loop. I could definitely see if you have a kit in it with a bunch of them like this, where they all look the same from this end, but they're actually all different pliers, why you'd want to give each one, like you might give it each one a yellow one, because yellow is my color, showing it's mine, but then you might color code the rest of it, like yellow and orange, yellow and red, yellow and purple, yellow and green, for example. That is not what this video is about, though. What this video is about is not the vertex either. It's more light, illuminate. It's not the vertex. I actually have my other additional sunflower pens in here. I ran the Speed Groove bolt last week. Got that refilled, lining up perfect. Let me show you guys that. So, something I found out. There is actually a ridge on the refill right here. And yes, I actually sanded it down with some sandpaper, but there's a ridge, you might be able to tell, right there on this refill. And that was actually catching, what was actually catching on the tip of this. Imagine it coming out the other way, though, right? Oh, can't see through the camera. See how this hits right there? Well, on the inside, it steps down even sooner. There we go. There we go. See? That's a spring. There we go. You can tell via that it actually steps down even sooner. And what I did is, right on this ridge that's right there, I actually saw a bunch of wear right on that line there. So what I actually did was, I keep saying that a lot of times. was shave that off with a fresh knife blade, and you can take it off. If I have a, I'm going to be putting a refill in the fluted bolt and running that this week at work, so I can show you on that one. Brand spanking new refill. With the bolt, if you're running the Euro 110 refills, take off 1 millimeter, at least the Uniballs. I tried taking off 2, and I had to save it for another pen. Luckily, I had not pulled off, like I cut this end, chop, before taking off the plastic. So it's not like it's going to like dry out or separate or anything yet. But if we look here, there's this little ridge right there. See it? That's what you want to take off, is that little, because I saw on the inside of the bolt, it was not very smooth going down, right? And what it was actually happening is it would catch on one side, and you would actually kind of get this notchy feeling to it, and it's because it was just catching that. And if you take, either a utility knife that's sharp or an X-Acto blade, and just kind of go like this, you can catch that ridge and kind of pull it up and off, and at least smooth it out a little bit more. You saw on the other refill that I kind of went ham and sanded also around this collar. Man, did I make that thing go smooth. But I actually sanded around this neck here, because it's actually, because of how it goes over this plastic, it's slightly thicker here than it is back here. If I had calipers, I could show you. The one thing I've also found is that this metal tip, because I've shown before how you angle this lip, otherwise it can get stuck. I showed you on the front where it just smashes into it, right? So you just cut that at like a 45 with your knife. Just make sure you get this tip back on. I've had one in the past, only one ever, but where if you take too much off, this metal falls out, or it kind of like works itself out. Just make sure before you peel this off that you kind of like push it. Make sure it's really seated in that plastic. Oh, and something else to note that I may or may not have showed off on the Uniball refill before. There's actually notches right here and right there. So even when it's flush, flat down with the spring, you can still get airflow on that end of the refill. Ideally through the tip, because there will be some room around the refill. Here's the Bernoulli, for example. There's not much room, but there is a little bit of room around that tip. So a little bit of air can come in there, and then those gaps should allow it to get by that spring. I still do notch the top. You might have seen that on the refill I already had modified. They do seem to write much more consistently, much better. And I've kind of went over in other pen videos as to why that is. You're using, for a standard gel pen, you're using atmospheric pressure to advance the ink, or in this case, gel, if you want to call it that. That's what kind of pushes this blob that's behind the ink down. So, why are we in here? Well, this guy, like I said, gonna put a refill in it. Gonna rock this guy this week. The fluted. The other one was a Pen Club exclusive. Right now, this just has the normal G2 in it. The other reason why we're here is because of this guy. This is, excuse me, my this here is my ink. I think this is still called an ink V2 that I have changed over to Rollerball already. I think I left the G2 in, so that's what I had available, rather than having in the pen the fountain pen config. Well, something I noticed when we were doing the unboxing of this, I don't know if any of you caught this, but there's a faint line here. It's more noticeable depending on like how the light hits it. Sometimes farther away, it's actually easier to see. I don't know if you guys are seeing that in 4K or not. But and I asked him if that was a line that commonly showed up and if it was supposed to be there. It is one that commonly shows up. It is not supposed to be there, though. That is in, because what this looks like is where it tapers. That's like a specific starting point. And the Cerakote kind of built up. You can't really feel it. So I wonder if that's like, I don't know how the Cerakote works, if there's multiple stages, like if there's a clear or something. But I do not feel that ridge. You very clearly see it, though. So I reached out to Karos, and as always, they're awesome. And they sent over a replacement. And included a label to ship her back. Here is that replacement. I don't know how much of it is replaced, just the cap, just the back side. I doubt they're sending the whole fountain pen mechanism. If so, I'm just going to swap it over and keep my rollerball in it. They do send you most of the rollerball parts, but I did contribute a second grip, this part here, because they intend for you to move that from your fountain pen front to your rollerball, and I just don't like doing that. That's two pieces you have to unscrew every time rather than one. I just keep them as one assembly. Okay, we got our return shipping with pre-labeled, going through post office. So it came FedEx, obviously by the packaging. It's returning post office Ground Advantage, which I do like that the post office is now starting to offer Ground Advantage. It is far cheaper. That is, when I sell stuff on eBay, that is all I use, because you get the tracking of priority, but ever since they made priority 2-day guaranteed, but then like undid that during Corona Chan, it's not been great. Pricing's gone way up. Like, it was like, I want to say it was $18 basically to ship any sort of normal size thing. Now it's under 10 with Ground Advantage. Yeah, it's 3 to 5 days, maybe even more in some, because the cost also varies much more depending on where you're shipping to, and as does the time, it seems to. Some of you might correct me on that, but the big thing is that you get the full on, like, it has everything about priority mail except, like, I don't need to ship most of the stuff I ship to people in that amount of time. I just need, like, basic insurance, basic tracking, like, not basic tracking, like full tracking. All right, so we have this guy. No line as far as I can see on this one. And to ship it back, I'm literally going to put it right into this, right into there, right into there. Oh, they included the grip assembly in matte or satin. I'm going to send that back. See, I got gloss. And I believe my fountain pen parts are gloss. I'd have to go check. There's the stopper. There's my top. Just the G2 refill. We're going to put this guy I don't know. Pretty sure the one I got was gloss. If you guys are wondering why I'm questioning myself, it's because I purposefully custom ordered my Vertex, which I have been using. That is way nicer. As much as I've always wanted the Ultim Vertex, I will admit the uncapping, not hard. The recapping, holy bloody duh. Like, whereas this guy, because it's metal, it's actually satisfying. Now, I purposely ordered this in matte, and I think it looks way, way better. I don't think there was an option on the ink. I want to say it might have cost extra to change it on the Vertex, but I'm glad I did. I think it looks much nicer having the black grip than... You guys are probably like, oh, show me a comparison. I should probably do that, shouldn't I? There you go. Gloss versus matte. Now in the ink, I'm not too perturbed or anything that it is a gloss, because I happen to have an extra gloss grip. Should do that before. Yeah, my original one was gloss as well. Like I said, I'm not too irked about that or anything, because I don't believe the Sunflower had the option, at least of the ink, to get a matte grip. And also the secondary grip section I had left from my Ultim ink that I ordered to make it into a Rollerball, which they also sent me, even though they sent me a Ultim grip section. Super nice, because they didn't sell Ultim grip sections. Like I said, that's why I think I might have had some influence in how this ink was sold, is because I ordered the additional pieces at the same time as ordering the... What happened to the spring? I'm like 99% sure there's supposed to be a spring in there. Am I crazy? How would I lose the spring? Did you guys see where it went? There should be a spring in there. Here's the plunger. Or the spacer, I should say. If you're running, that is exactly how... if I line this up to the Hi-Tec-C, that actually adds Hi-Tec-C length to it. That's how in my V1... Oh, well, maybe... Hey, the spring fell exactly where that spacer just fell. What do you know? See, when I'm clumsy, at least I'm consistent. Teehee. Wow. Alright. Spacer goes in the butt. I should mention I'm going to be changing, like, it's not staying G2. I got to run upstairs and get a juice. Not a juice up, a juice. And if I had another Hi-Tec-C click style Hi-Tec-C, what I mean by that, it's basically a Phillips 2, a Pilot G2 style, I would pick that up. Like, because I almost think this needs to be spaced up a little bit more and push against that spring a little bit more. But this guy, much better shape. Oh, the O-ring works better too. There's actually friction there. Whereas on this one, I was kind of thinking the O-ring wasn't doing much. This is the, so you can see the line in it right there. Watch when you put it on. There's like, not until like right there is there any friction from the O-ring. Whereas this, that would matter more when it's being used in fountain pen mode. But right there, there's some. That's where the friction starts. So I'm happy to get this replaced. I've just been storing them in here. My hope, and I think I might have mentioned this in our video, is that because there are so many sunflower, they're doing now batches of these. I don't know if the other colors are going to be as popular. I think they just did like a burnt, like a blood orange, and now they're making a big deal of like a blue one, I think. Like I think I mentioned in previous video, the sunflower had sold. It sold out before. Like it was a Pen Club exclusive. I don't believe it was even like an early release, like an exclusive. I think the Pen Club just got it sooner than, like, you know, if you're not in the Pen Club sort of thing. Not that it was exclusive to it, and it didn't even make it outside of the Pen Club. Like, it didn't make it a day. It made it a couple hours. Because I had them in my cart. I ordered them. Got blocked at work because of the VPN. Makes sense. You should be using a VPN for work if you're accessing internal company shit. But that got flagged as being sus by their new website. And my purchase got blocked. I had them all in there. And they said they bring them back, and they kind of did. The hex bolt still isn't back, and the EDK is not back at all. So I may still need to try to buy those off of somebody. But yeah. So like I said, and I've shown this before, Keras is great. You tell them you have an issue, they'll fix it. My original, I was in the original second batch of these guys, the Render K. It came in 4 colors. I was in the second batch of these. They got all these little chippy guys. They're not, it's not chips in the paint, but it's like little flakes of dark something that have gotten on all the, and it's very obvious on the yellow pens. And the finish differences on this half, like it looked like the cap was painted properly, but then the bottom half wasn't. If you go back and check out that video, by the time I even contacted them, like I opened it up on camera for you guys, showed you guys. By the time I reached out, probably the next day or the day after at the very latest, they were already sold out of the second batch of sunflower render case. They took a return. I was just bummed because I really wanted this one. And apparently this color was very popular on the Render K, so they made a whole line of them. And I like this is the closest any brand has gotten. Like I said, I've mentioned to Squeers like in person. The only thing, and you guys might not be able to see this on camera, that is a little bit off from my perfect color, my favorite color, is the fact that there is like a little bit of sheen to this, like a little bit of metallic in there that I probably wouldn't have if it was like my perfect color. But the color itself is it's more like the on at certain angles, like when I'm sitting like this on my desk, I'm like spicy hot pen there. So when they re-released them too, they gave you an option for a fourth pen. I voted modal. It looks like the Vertex one because that's what I got. I wasn't ever expecting to buy a metal Vertex because I have what I consider the ultimate one, the Ultim version, which this case is from. But especially with that matte black, it looks really good. The actual like action of closing it is actually much nicer with that little bit of extra oomph from the metal. It is considerably heavier. It's still not heavy, but the Ultim feels like there's literally nothing there. I am still reminded with this on how I don't want to run a fountain pen daily. I used to a long time ago, basically prior to the Hi-Tec-C. I used to daily a fountain pen. Yeah, the Ultim comes out fine. It's the close, like, opens fine. It's the and if you're gonna use any as an eyedropper, obviously it's got to be the Ultim. That's why I picked it up. It's designed to be an eyedropper. There's like 3 gaskets in it. Now, yes, I know I don't have mine set up that way. I don't have ink, and I have a bunch of these little ink refills that they gave me. So until I use those up, probably won't be buying any. But if you guys have suggestions, hit me up down below. I prefer a black ink. I almost converted to blue black at one point, but then I had to use a copy machine, and I copied blue black, and it gets weird on a copy machine. At least that's what I recall with that. All I know is the next batch of all the refills, like I'd already ordered when I got my, it was actually my TI2 tech liner, not my TI2 pen, the TI2 tech liner, the original one in Fallout finish. I bought all different kinds of all originally like 0.28, 0.3, 0.38 refills from every different brand of gel, like conical tip, needle tip, water-based, pigment-based, blah, 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 blah. Tried them all. Then I picked up my original bolt from Tactile Turn that they've actually repaired the clip-on. When I went to that, I switched to blue-black for like, I think the 4 I really liked, and I decided I didn't like 0.28. I wanted 0.3 because I was used to 0.4 in the Hi-Tec-C. I preferred the 0.38 and 0.4. So I reordered any of the refills I liked the most, because it might have been like, say, 8 different refills before. Now we're down to 4, but I ordered them in blue black. By the end of that, I still have 1 or 2 blue blacks left, because I probably ordered a couple, I think, of each one, like 2 of each kind or something. I'm just standard black ink kind of guy. I know I'm boring. A lot of that also comes down to often, like when I use my Rhodia dot book. By the way, this is a genius use of full stick sticky notes. You just peel the back off, stick them to the front of your notebook. You always have sticky notes. So with these, I don't want to show you a page about actual work shit, but the printing is like a blue-purple on there. So black, good. Blue-black looks like the dots. And it's very similar on like Rhodia's memo pads or a lot of other paper where the lines are not done in black. They're done in you know, like a gray or a blue or a purple or you know, it all depends on the ink. So they blended too much with that. It's kind of like the effect if you ever do like a black and white copy when you wrote with like certain types of black ink and it literally looks exactly like the original, especially if the original was a copy. Like you took a copy, you made 30, you filled it out with a certain type of black ink, and then you made a copy of that. It looks like it was all originally there. Same thing kind of happens with by the way, dot book, awesome. Dot pad, they make memo pads with the dots. That's what I used to use before, but then I got the dot book, the reverse dot book. It's basically 8.5 by 8.5. I often, when like working through things real quick or taking notes, like memo pad style, right? But if I'm doing planning and like or in-depth drawing of things, you know, like technical drawing, that sort of stuff. That's why I like having the dot pads, because you get a grid without a grid. I like doing notebook style. So that reverse book, beautiful, beautiful. I have 3 in the drawer right here, 2 of which, one's full and 2 of which are almost full, that I use regularly. Have active projects, and also you can tear them a lot easier because it's not like a memo pad where it's staple on one side. It's got the little spiral, but then it's also got the tear strip. Beautiful, beautiful, amazing, great. But yeah. So with those though, because I tried the blue black, and I'm like, it's just I don't know, it doesn't stand out enough. You're like, how does black stand out more? It just does. It just does. Let me know your preferences. I know some of you out there like, oh, I always got to have purple ink, or I always got to have green ink. Or now when I did notes by hand in college, I actually ran a multi-pen. For those that maybe I have to have a video on that, but basically there's multiple different inks in one pen. Very popular in Japan. They have like a billion different lines. Hi-Tec-C actually has their I think it's Coletto line. And I would do, I never liked red. So I would do black, blue, orange, green. And then for like science and math classes, especially when they're doing examples, you know, all my normal stuff would be in the black ink. Comments, corrections would be done in orange, just like you use red. I'm not a big red ink person. And then often I would have like... the certain types of things would be in like, you know, formulas might be in green, and then solutions in blue, or vice versa. Like I had a formula to it where you could then flip through fairly easy and figure out, you know. Another pro tip too, if you're doing that sort of stuff, if you have a notebook, people, notebook, right? And then have a workbook, you'll thank me. Why I didn't figure that out sooner? Holy shit! Then you don't have to have like giant gaps in pages and shit. Yes, have a notebook and a workbook. Often also with the workbook, you can use shittier paper. Have the notebook have the better paper, because you're gonna retain it. You might even retain it into a career, or far enough to finish whatever your studies are, because you might you know, like reference back to it, especially if it's well done notes. But then have a workbook, which often you're going through many more pages on separately. You know, you can also use that as a scratch thing without worrying about where your notes went. You can also use workbooks. Like another thing with that is you can also use a generic workbook for multiple classes, multiple years, multiple, like just use it as a source of paper basically. Whereas the notebook, especially if you buy thinner ones, like you don't have to like buy the thick notebook and only use a third of it or whatever, you know. But yeah, that's what I switched to, was individual notebooks and then a workbook, maybe workbooks, depending. Usually 1 to 2 between everything I was doing at the time. So let me know your comments, questions down below. You know, what do you like? Why do you like a nice pen? Is it just to have nice pen? Nowadays, that is it for me. There's no way somebody needs, like, I have more pens now in my favorite yellow color than one would ever need. My recommendation is probably 2. One of them, make one of them the modal. The other one, probably choose, to be truthful, a completely different refill, like a pen that takes a Parker or something like that, unless you know which refill you want. But 2 is always nice. You can keep them both on you in your pockets, or one in your bag, one on you. 2 nice pens though that take the refill that you like, or refills that you like. It's all you really need. If you're looking at like machined quality lasting pens, if you want something like nicer, I've shown off those Uniballs, especially those transparent ones we got in. They're like the chubby pens. Those are great as if you want something that takes a nice refill, that's actually like a decent feeling pen, but isn't like what I think I got that whole pack for 4 of them for $15 or something. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. I had to get those directly from Uniball though. There's a link from their Instagram. A couple good things came from Instagram. One of them for me was the Black Rifle Coffee, but they've reformulated the espresso with cream that I drank in every day for 5 years or something, basically. And I get that fake sugar out of there and change that formula back. That's all I'm going to say there. That's another thing on the list of, we had full stick sticky notes. And last year, I think it was, I realized apparently X-Acto's been changed since like 2021 or something. But I just found out last year, pissed about that. All these things that I regularly use, just gone. Bumming. Same thing happened with Madrinas. I used to really like Madrinas coffee. I would argue their 2X dark roast was one of the best cold brew coffees ever. And their black with cream, amazing as well. And then Chrono-Chan hit, and they couldn't get their stuff to make it, so they shifted into instant coffee, powdered coffee. That's not coffee, people. It's not coffee. And they found out, because there's way less to that, they can make way more with it, and they never went back. And now they make, crazy video game and other media inspired powdered coffees and energy drinks and stuff. Womp womp. Oh, it was the other thing was my sparkling water I drink. Can't get that at Costco anymore in the giant case. Not a thing. I think we talked about that in a previous video. So sad days for that, but Pro America Premium Tools, they restocked their stuff, and I could finally get my snub chain nose long reach mini pliers that's serrated, specifically this one, and this new thin head near flush snipper. So some good things do happen. Well, hopefully we'll see you in future videos. We definitely have some coming relating to pens. Tactile Turn just announced their new seasonal based on their 8-bit design, the 16-bit. We'll leave you at that. Even Gertrude says it's time for sleep.